How fun.
You're listening to your number one radio station.
Final warning.
Cannabis Community Project. Oh, yeah.
Open up, Colorado. It's 420. Time to grind and burn.
This is not your son's stoner show.
Welcome to the Cannabis Community Project at the Dank Studios, Denver, Colorado. It's the Grind and Burn Show. Are you still smoking flower? Stinking up the house? Having your neighbors wonder if there's a skunk outside? Try Cushly products, the natural organic odor eliminator. Lotions, sprays, candles, and soaps. Cushly will eliminate all of those organic smells. Cushly. www.cushly.com.
Hello, good day, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the international internet. We're happy that you're here on Cannabis Community Project. My name is Kate Mullen, and I'm going to be your host for the next little bit. We've got a lot to talk about, and we also are interested in hearing from you. So remember, if you want to communicate with us, you can do so a number of ways. You can communicate with us via email at contact@cannabiscommunityproject.com, or you can look for us on any of the market media channels, including our own website, cannabiscommunityproject.com. Also, our Facebook page. Look for us on iTunes, Google+, Spreaker, Twitter, SoundCloud, Massroots, Stitcher, TuneIn, Tumblr, and of course, YouTube. We're always here for you. My name is Kate Mullen, and I'm filling in for Brainstorm here on Cannabis Community Project, here on Grind and Burn. We've got a lot we want to talk about today. A couple of things that I want to talk about is employment in the cannabis industry, employment in any industry, and how you're best accomplishing that. We want to talk about what we can do for the new cannabis entrepreneur. What can we do for the new cannabis business professional? Do you have some information as a business professional that you'd like to add to the conversation? We always want to hear from you, and you should listen to us because we have a myriad of guests on the show and a lot of different information from a lot of different levels, from the beginner level all the way to the accomplished, even the funding level. So the goal of the show is to keep you informed and keep you updated on what's happening in the cannabis industry, to keep you connected to the people that are moving and shaking in the industry. Remember, you can find us everywhere on social media. That includes our website, cannabiscommunityproject.com. Facebook. Look for us on iTunes, Google+, Spreaker, Twitter, SoundCloud, Massroots, Stitcher, TuneIn, Tumblr, YouTube. Going to have a great show for you today. We're going to be talking to Mr. Tom Sterlucci, who is the CEO and founder of Dr. J's Hash Oils, also a wonderful edibles line. He is on the forefront of CBD delivery and development. He's an amazing, amazing man. But the most interesting thing that I find about him is that he is the United States first marijuana licensee for distribution, cultivation, and production of marijuana as a product. So he's got a lot to talk about. Another thing that I want to talk about that is very near and dear to my heart, this is like information that I'm sharing with you because I want you to succeed. And we see this as business owners and business owners that I communicate with. We see this happening all over the place, especially in small towns in Colorado and Washington and Oregon where cannabis is legal. And there's a lot of that happening, a lot of development in all these towns. And you might even consider this to be in the new states like Maine and Florida where cannabis is coming on board. I can't speak to those, but I can certainly speak to the small towns in Colorado. One of the problems that is inherent in starting a new industry is that there are not already existing professionals that can come on board with knowledge and experience and say confidently, yes, I know how to manage your grow, or I know how to cook your concentrates to where they're perfectly shatter and they're not snappy, where the wax is just exactly like you like it. There's not a lot of people that understand compliance. They understand the legality behind cannabis, even on a very low level when you're talking about trimmers or bud tenders. Not that bud tenders and trimmers are low level, but on the spectrum, they're not the executive level. But even when you look at the low level, it is very, very difficult, at least as what we see, to find employees on any level that are committed and understand how business works, the commitment and the financial involvement, the financial investment that the owner and the owner's partners have in the business, to find employees that respect the business, the product. There's a lot of businesses that have been actually sabotaged by employees that they hired, and intentionally. That is really a hurdle as far as I can see from the small town aspect where cannabis is now legal. And you've got opportunities like, say, in Trinidad, Colorado, or in, Boulder, Colorado, or wherever you want to say. But finding good, reliable, ethical, business-savvy, experienced help is an issue. So to that end, I want to recommend some things to you guys that might be looking to get into the cannabis industry at any level, whether you're coming in to be a bud tender or a trimmer or a grower's assistant or anything, or if you want to get into sales, repping edibles or repping oils or adjunct products, whatever end you're getting into, don't be a flake. The first thing I can tell you, don't be a flake. Don't be a freaking screw up. And the reason why I say that is because so much depends on you being a good person. If you're having trouble getting a job in the cannabis business and you have screwed up and you have damaged somebody's reputation or you've damaged somebody's business, you're not likely going to get another job in the cannabis business because people talk to each other. We have to talk to each other. It's important for our company's survival that we talk to each other. So the first thing I want to say is don't be a screw up. The second thing I want to say is this is not McDonald's. If you're not committed, don't take the job in the cannabis industry. Because if you're a trimmer, if you're a grower's assistant, if you're a grower, if you're a bud tender, if you're a manager, regardless of what you are, there are other people at other levels that are depending on you being there, on you showing up. And believe it or not, in small towns, there's a real problem with people having the desire to show up for a shift. This isn't McDonald's. It matters if you don't show up. So if you're not going to show up and you don't want the complication of your life to be in the cannabis industry or any industry, and you don't feel like it's important enough to commit to a daily schedule or a weekly schedule, then don't get a job in the cannabis industry. Okay? Just a quick heads up. If you're a hard worker, if you have verifiable references, if you have verifiable experience, if you can talk to the owner on the same level that you can talk to the general manager of the store or the general manager of the grow or any of the vendors, if you can be a competent part of any business and you have expertise in the cannabis business, well, holy freaking cow, that's even just gravy. But you have to do small things to succeed in any business, and you especially have to do some small things to succeed in the cannabis business. These are, don't be a screw up. Show up if you get hired. Have a phone where people can get a hold of you. Have a car. And I know these sound like basic things, but believe it or not, these are all factors that we have to consider every time someone walks in our door as a service industry, as a business, as a dispensary, as a grow operation, as an edibles company. All of this stuff matters. So qualify yourself before you go out and move to Colorado or before you take the plunge and move to Cali or Washington or Oregon. Take a real serious self-inventory of yourself. Are you grown up? Huh? Are you grown up? I don't mean are you 21 or over. I mean, are you an adult? Do you value the work that other people have put into something, and do you want to help that effort succeed and move forward? If you're moody, if you're a drug addict, if you're an alcoholic, it's probably not going to work out. So those are a couple of things you need to be concerned about. Do your best. Show up. Be clear-headed. Drugs are out of style. All the meth and the OxyContin and the coke and all the speed and heroin and all that other crap. Man, that stuff is so dated. It is so 90s. You need to come into the real world. The real intoxicant of choice is cannabis. So don't be a screw up. Show up, get a phone, have a car, be about something, have some references, have some experience, and have a good attitude. And if you don't get hired the first time, keep coming back, because if they like you, they're not going to tell you no. They're going to let you come back and come back and come back to prove your commitment and to prove that you're serious and to get to know you better. These are just some tips I just wanted to share with you. I'm concerned about your success. I want to see you do well. I want to see all of the businesses in the cannabis industry across the board do well. And they're only going to do well if we're all working together as a team. So cannabis conversation, just some information I wanted to share with you. My name's Kate Mullen, filling in for Brainstorm here on Grind and Burn.
Feeling guilty about a time with cannabis? Get it off your chest and confess it on Cannifessions, your public forum to absolve your soul.
New voice message, Wednesday, 4:21 p.m.
Hi, my name is Bob, and this is my Cannifession. I was on a family vacation with my parents to Egypt, and I snuck away and hung out with the Bedouins for a while and smoked hashish out of their hookah and had some fun. They were pretty mad when they found out they didn't get to go. So, sorry, Mom. Sorry, Dad.
And that was Cannifessions. If you have a confession to make, contact me via Facebook or the website at cannabiscommunityproject.com.
Have you heard a business that inspires you? Have you thought about starting your business idea? Make 2017 the time of now. Don't be a one-apreneur, be a cannapreneur. Contact us at the Cannabis Community Project. Contact me personally. Brainstorm at cannabiscommunityproject.com.
Let's start off on business practices. I want to know what in the line of business operation allows you to reconfigure a standard policy of customer service. This is something that I've experienced over and over again. Here's a question. You open the doors of your business, you have your license, you finish your application, you jump through the hoops, you've gotten your investors, and you open up the doors. The customers are greeted with a loud odor of cannabis throughout the building. You've taken no recourse to design a facility that is open to the public with cards or retail. You've taken no thought process into the labeling, distribution, handling. Let's just go with the basics. Customer service. Customer service encompasses that you have an employee that is competent, that knows what they're selling. It's a retail industry of customer service that has always been in place. Just common sense. Common sense would tell me when I ask a cashier, hey, is this blouse made out of satin or is it rayon? The person standing across from me would be competent enough, smart enough, slightly more intelligent than average to tell me that, yes, I do believe this blouse is made out of rayon by reading the label. But then we get to the cannabis industry. Let's just go for it. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the 1, 2, 3. I stand across from people who are blatant idiots, who have no competency whatsoever in the products they're selling. And by all accounts, they are street terms, getting high on their own supply. You have someone in front of you who has no idea what the THC count is other than what may or may not be listed on the label. So it's all verbal. Nothing's written. And I'm relying on someone's memory to tell me where the testing was done. What farm? Who's the producer? What manufacturing plant? What processing plant? Do they have the labeling for allergens such as nuts or fruits or milk or dairy? No. I'm looking at little dumb Dora. Stand across from me, you'll hear me use that term a lot. Dumb Dora. It doesn't depict a male or female, gender, race, or culture. God knows it doesn't include ethnicity because they all run the gamut. The person standing across from me is assured me that this product was made in a, I don't know, and it was made by a, I don't know, and it came from a, oh, I don't know. So when I hear the terms, I don't know, my next question is, why are you here? Why are you here? What skill or skill set or orientation did you go through with this company to stand in front of me, take my money, and know nothing? There's customer service. Customer service in a nutshell, and bud tenders and bartenders and the new retail industry consumer is relying on the person in front of them, whether recreational or medical, to be knowledgeable about a product that you are ingesting that has the ability to have a psychoreactive flashback. But the person in front of you is the selling point. So when you start hiring, do you look for competency? How about clean clothes? Clean clothes, fresh smell, nice hand, manicured fingers. Is that 1 or 2, 3 of the prerequisites for the job? Or are you looking for a warm body with a dead brain, hands that are dexterity, have the ability to pick up a product and put it in a Ziploc bag? Because if we're going for basics, I'd step up the bar. You can walk into any alcohol distribution center, alcohol retail center, and or business and find someone who will tell you what top shelf, mid shelf, and low grade is. Why? Because that person that's inside that building is not selling everything based on commission. They're selling it based on the fact that they were employed to sell what was on those fucking shelves. Oh, that was rude. That was mean. How dare you talk about our industry and the people that we hire with mental and emotional deficits that stand behind a counter and charge $100 to $200 for products they have no God-forsaken clue about. Now, that would just be wrong. I think that if you're going to take the time to put the belligerent idiot behind the counter who's one chromosome off from the most deficit-oriented illness, maybe you should do genome mapping. Seriously. I'd just as soon stand across from iRobot and buy a product at this point. How about we use the McDonald's kiosks for, I don't know, clarity? Because if I speak to that kiosk and I ask for a product with the strain and the percentage of THC versus CBD balance, I can almost guarantee you that that computer will hit it dead on based on the information that it was fed, unlike the humans that they are hiring to work in customer service. That is my rant, that is my rave, but it's the truth. Leads me to the last thought. Are you creating your own risk factors? Or are you just creating an homage to the theory that Cheech and Chong should have been reality? On that, my friend, I say go have a seat and find a strain that is completely couch locked. Because on a couch in front of Netflix is where you belong.
I don't know what's left to say. Go find something new today. I'm gonna put on the iron shirt and just Satan out of earth. I'm gonna put on the iron shirt and chase the devil out of earth. I'm gonna send him to outer space to find another race. I'm gonna send him to outer space to find another race. Satan is the evilest man, but he can trust it on high man. So when I check, I listen hand, and if I slip, I'm gone with it hand. I'm gonna put on the iron shirt and chase Satan out of earth. I'm gonna send him to outer space to find another race. Have him drop him, fuck and run. Just can't stand up to judge our son. Half of them left ya with them gun. Half them with your bomb. I'm gonna put on the iron shirt and chase Satan out of earth. I'm gonna put on the iron shirt to find another race. I'm gonna put on the iron shirt and chase Satan out of earth. I'm gonna put on the iron shirt and chase the devil out of earth. I'm gonna send him to outer space to find another race. I'm gonna send him to outer space to find another race.
Good afternoon. My name is Kate Mullen. This is Grind and Burn with Brainstorm. I'm here for Brainstorm just for a little while filling in. We're especially excited about our guest today. The reason why you should stay listening to us is because you're going to meet a man, Mr. Tom Sterlacci, that is an amazing, amazing man. You're going to want to remember his name because he is someone that is very important in the cannabis industry. The goal of the show today is to inform you, educate you, and keep you posted on everything that is relevant in the cannabis industry. Remember, you're listening to Cannabis Community CannabisCommunityProject.com. You can find us on our website, CannabisCommunityProject.com, our Facebook page, iTunes, Google+, Spreaker, Twitter, SoundCloud, Massroots, Stitcher, TuneIn, Tumblr, and of course, the ever-popular YouTube. So today, we are talking to Mr. Tom Sterlacci, who is the CEO and founder of Dr. J's Edibles and Concentrates. Besides being a fascinating man and having an amazing product and an amazing, amazing story, and I know I use the word amazing liberally, but I really do, because this man has been like everywhere in the cannabis industry all along the way. Tom is most interesting, as far as I'm concerned, for being the first marijuana business licensee in the state of Colorado, very likely in the United States. So I want to welcome you, Tom, CEO of Dr. J's Concentrates and Edibles, and say, tell us what makes you uniquely qualified to be here.
Hi, Kate. Thanks for having me on, and hello to all your listeners out there. I hope I could make this interesting, as the last 7 years has been incredibly interesting. As Kate said, I did get the first license in the state of Colorado, possibly the country as well. That's what I was told anyway.
How did that happen?
Interesting. Go back before House Bill 1284, which basically put us all in business legally in the state of Colorado. And we used to have hotel rooms with 300-400 people in, getting discussions going with people from the MED. The original guy from the MED, the director, was a guy by the name of Matt Cook. Matt Cook wrote 1284. And so my normal business self at the end of any kind of a presentation, I always like to say hello and acknowledge the speakers and usually ask questions, because that's what I do. I ask questions. And they got to know me and saw that I was a relatively professional guy. I might mention that I came from the high-tech, high-end software business where for the 15 years prior to Dr. J's, I was selling and promoting speech recognition. So anybody out there who talks to their phone and it types, or if you talk to a computer like United Airlines and computer talks back, well, that's what I was doing. Not afraid to step in and do things that nobody's done before. So when marijuana came along, I thought it was a perfect thing to try my hand at. Little did I realize that I was going to actually be honored with the very first license.
So do you come in as an innovator with new concepts and ideas? Is that what you did in high tech, and then you came in and you brought that to the cannabis business? Or did you just have a pocket full of money and saw that cannabis was a good investment or a good time investment to get into?
Okay, I think I would say A, being an innovator and not being afraid to go where no one's gone before, that's always excited me in my life. So that's what I did.
I'm just so curious. How did the process to become the first marijuana businessman in the state of Colorado, what did that look like? How did that happen? I mean, was it just you were lucky and asked for the first form, or how did it work? Was it a lottery?
It wasn't anything like you just described. Basically, it started by getting a permit to put yourself in line for a potential license. And I got to tell you, these guys dive deep. I had to go out and get my grammar school report cards. That's how far back they went. And everything in between, where you live, what you bought, who you knew, money in the bank, properties, everything.
Note to self, there really is a permanent record.
Oh, yeah. That goes with your fingerprints, Kate.
Oh, my God. From elementary school, those little handprints you made in the plaster are really a file with the FBI.
Yes, they are. So basically, I was sitting in a bar talking to a friend one night, and we decided that there weren't any entrees. So I started by Dr. J's lasagna, believe it or not. And
an edible lasagna?
Yes, it was an edible lasagna, and it was lasagna, stuffed shells. We had burritos, breakfast and lunch. This was pre-1284 when I was using my good old mom's recipes to bring out some of her Italian cuisine, and everybody loved it. Then when 1284 came out, HB 1284, we of course needed a commercial kitchen, which I then built. And in the process of building, it took about 6 months, which is conservative by today's estimates. People were telling me that they wanted, people in the marijuana business wanted something that was small and powerful. So that's when we came out with our Hash Handies line. Stopped making entrees and started doing Hash Handies were muffins, cookies. Then we moved to our Star Bars, maybe a lot of people out there have heard of Star Bars, and those were our chocolates.
Well, before we get too far off the lasagna, I'm really interested in this. I mean, I'm really interested in this because I can tell by your name that you're Italian through and through, and that you took your mom's lasagna recipe and Shell's recipe or sauce recipe, I guess, and infused it and made a line of frozen foods, or were they fresh foods that you delivered to stores? How did that work?
It was frozen, and back in the day, we had an ice cream company out there who was delivering freezers with their orders. So the dispensary owners just put my lasagna, which was so solid frozen, into the freezers and then just warmed it up. But I got to be honest with you, packaging that stuff was a nightmare.
Oh. So that was why it was easy to move out of lasagna and into hash handies.
It was not only easy, it was joyous.
Leave it behind with glee.
That's right.
So you moved into hash handies and Star Bars.
Yes, and we also had a line called Caramellos, which were absolutely delicious caramels, which were also infused. By today's compliance regulations, there's no way you can make it without having to charge an exorbitant amount, because the labor of making individual 10-milligram pieces is just cost ineffective.
Because you'd have to dose them almost immediately after they're made. That's a thing I think they're looking at on how the dosing works out, certainly on catering and stuff like that. But so now you're moving into CBDs, are you not?
So we evolved from lasagna, short-lived, prior to 1284, to the hash handies, which were cookies, muffins, chocolate. We even had cocoa at one point. We like a lot of people, were seeing what was out there and what people wanted. Then we moved into capsules. So we have a huge cannabis capsule line, which is probably our biggest sellers today. They're pure, they're natural, and they have no sugar, they have no calories. And a lot of people from, the older generation are heard so much about CBD and so much about marijuana in Colorado for the last 6 or 7 years that their curiosity has peaked and they want to try stuff. But unlike maybe some of the listeners right now, their tolerance was extremely low. Some of them never had marijuana at all. Small dose was too much of a dose for them because they weren't looking for any type of a psychosomatic action. They were just looking for the medicine part. And I can tell you that over the years, I have gotten many phone calls and many emails where people were saying, "Oh my gosh, your muffins or your medicine has helped me so many ways. I've gotten off of opiates. I have my back pain is gone." There was even a woman who said that I saved her baby with my muffins, and I'm not sure I want to get into that on the radio, but there is definitely a lot of medicinal properties to this wonderful plant.
Yeah, and very quick acting medicinal properties to this wonderful plant. So you really have run an extensive what am I trying to say? I guess run an extensive race as far as beginning with frozen foods and then going to little snacks and then going into capsules. When you're talking about capsules, are you talking about isolates? Are you talking about crystalline CBD? What are you talking about? Are you talking about herb in a gel cap?
We don't have a gel cap machine, as that's $1 million to get in that for free. So we don't do a gel cap, but we do a capsule, liquid filled, and it's got some of it. We've got AM capsules for people who need a little help getting up in the morning and going on with their day pain-free.
And are these low THC CBD or are they CBD?
We actually have several different versions. We've got some very low THC with high dosage of CBD, and we are going to be coming out within the next week or two an ultra-high CBD dose because we feel as though that medicine is great. Now, you mentioned something a moment ago that I think is worth an answer to around, and that was you used the word isolate. And from my experience and the training and education I've gotten going to conferences around the country, isolates are not a good way to go because there's over 400 elements in the cannabis plant. We don't know what all of them do. We don't know how all of them interact. So we don't do isolate. We do the full spectrum of the plant so that you can get the full spectrum of the medicine and the full spectrum of its benefits.
Wow. So what you're saying is that those who are isolating the bits of cannabis that they're working with are doing so at a detriment to the potential consumer because we don't know how they all interact. Because and our listeners may know that there's like 4 different kinds of CBD, THCs, and CBD1 and all of that. So you're saying that by isolating elements, you're depriving it of a necessary other element that we don't know what it will do or how it will perform?
Exactly right, Kate. And the biggest thing is we don't know how it will perform as an isolated element. We do, however, have information, and again, we don't know what all the 400-plus elements do exactly, but we have learned enough to say you need to have the combination. You need to have the full spectrum to get the benefit of the plant's medicine.
Full spectrum, you mean whole plant?
Full spectrum means you need to have all of the piece parts of the plant, all of those 400-plus elements combined to give you the medicine as God intended it, if you will. If you start taking out one isolate, it could be CBD, it could be THY, it could be one of any 400 things. We don't know enough right now because, think about it, the universities have not had the luxury of working with this stuff, of testing it, of doing studies on it because it was illegal. We're going to see a whole lot of change in the next 5 years. I guarantee it.
Absolutely. And, well, what is the difference between isolates and crystallines?
Most of the isolates are processed to be crystal. They're easy to handle, and you're basically, in a way, you're just freeze-drying it.
Oh, you're freeze-drying the whole spectrum?
No, an isolate is an isolated part. So you're only going to freeze-dry and crystallize that part. And if it's CBD, then that's all you're getting. And based on the research I'm familiar with, that's not the best way to go.
And I also heard that isolates are also like an open door for pharmaceutical manipulation of THC, CBDs, THC itself, and that it is, I guess, for the same reason I don't like to call it medicinal marijuana. I prefer to call it marijuana as medicine, because when you call it medicinal marijuana, again, the door cracks open a little bit more for pharmaceutical companies, and I guess the same must hold true if you're dealing with isolates, because that gives them more ability to brand something, I guess.
I would have to agree with you. We're going to see what the pharmaceutical companies are going to do. You know they're not sitting on their thumbs right now, and you know they're trying to figure out a way to make stuff and to patent it and to control the medicines that we were given naturally that grow in the ground.
Well, what do you think is best? I mean, when you look at the political spectrum of what's possible with cannabis, and I ask a lot of my guests this, there is Jared Polis, a representative from Colorado that's interested in legislating cannabis like liquor. There's a big effort to repeal cannabis prohibition across the board. In Texas, they've got marijuana court now. Instead of, making it a long trip to justice, we got an express lane for marijuana users. What are your thoughts on what's coming up with legalization of cannabis, or what's possible? What in your world, what do you think is happening?
Well, I believe that the cat's out of the bag, okay? I don't believe that anyone is going to ever put the cat back in the bag. I don't believe that marijuana is going to go away at this point in time. I know it went away in 1937, and that's a whole radio show in and of itself, which we're not going to go down that path, because we have a lot of other things to talk about. But I do believe they may decide that recreationally for 50 states may not happen, because if you remember, we had dry counties for many, many years, decades, if you will, where certain counties or certain cities did not allow alcohol. So that's going to be a kind of an uphill battle, but it's not going to go away. We'll always have access to it as medicine. As far as recreational, I think that the people in Washington are just going to be looking at how well are we doing. And quite honestly, for as much as we have issues in the state of Colorado, Colorado is doing a fine job. The NED is doing a great job with the resources they have. And remember, this is an emerging market. Nobody has a playbook, if you will, to see how this is going to shake out. So that being said, marijuana is not going away. And as far as full legalization, that'll be a few years yet.
Well, let's talk about you again for a bit, Tom Sterlacci, CEO of Dr. J's Edibles and Concentrates. You have had an amazing path through the cannabis industry. You have such a variety of things to pick from. What do you see as your biggest successes or your biggest success so far in your career in cannabis?
Well, other than getting the first license, I think that my biggest success is never selling out. Let me explain what that means. A lot of people in this industry will put out some pretty dangerous product, and we're going to find out 5 or 10 years from now just how dangerous some of that product is. I pride myself on the fact that we have always done the right thing for the customer. We've always put out the purest product with the purest ingredients, no solvents, no additives, no letters or words that you could not pronounce. I find that we've had pressure to use cheaply sourced medicines or cheaply produced medicines, and we held our guns. We like to think of ourselves as the Whole Foods, if you will, in the cannabis industry. I stand behind each and every one of my products. In the early days, we used hash as our main source for medicine. Now, we found out 3 years ago when things changed to recreational that hash was not a scalable solution. You can't take oils or butters and just go from 2 cups of oil or butter to 10 cups of oil and butter to meet the requirements of the population without having issues, because, let's face it, hash is particles, and those particles will start to settle. It's difficult to keep those particles even and consistent. Consistency is our name of the game. That's one of the things we hang our hat on. So we are the purest, most consistent, and probably the most highly tested products out there today, and we're very proud of that.
And that's something to really to count as successful, because there's a lot, like you said, a lot of product out there that is deadly, and people don't understand that there is a big difference in product, especially concentrates, when it comes to butane or CO2 or whatever it is.
Cocaine, methane.
All of that. And the thing is, they don't take time to consider what the long-term consequences are on it. Like you say, in a couple of years, we're going to see those problems rearing their ugly heads. Not enough people understand that if it's really very, very inexpensive concentrates, it's likely a butane concentrate, and how important it is to look for solventless, real clean concentrates if you're going to do concentrates. So that is a big success, I would think, not selling out and having the purest line of concentrates and edibles. So what do you see was your biggest learning experience along the path in the cannabis industry?
Oh, geez, Kate, I was hoping you weren't going to ask me that question, but since you did, I'll be more than happy to tell you, the honest-to-God truth, and that is this. When I got into this industry, I pretty much walked away from marijuana, 5 or 10 years after I left college. I do like my wine a lot, but that being said, having been in the high-tech world for decades, I didn't know how to make hash. I didn't know how to infuse product. I didn't have this information. This is not something you could put an ad out there and get, 20 resumes. So you had to go to the dark side. You had to go to the place where people were doing it illegally. Unfortunately, people who come from the dark side aren't usually the kind of people that you really want to hook your train to, if you will, because of the theft and the lack of integrity and other things. But it was a learning process, and I'm not the only one. I mean, we all had to go through it. Now, look 7 years down the road, or 7 years to today, and marijuana is becoming mainstream. We get people with resumes from the mainstream world that are very valuable, and we don't really need the knowledge anymore because we have the knowledge. But it was a hard row to hoe to get that knowledge, and you fall down, you get back up again, dust yourself off, and you keep moving forward.
Yeah, that's a great lesson that anyone can take to heart. So you've got the soapbox here on Cannabis Community Project on Grind and Burn with Brainstorm, except it's me right now, Kate Mullen. So you've got the little soapbox here. Take the little soapbox. You can say anything you want to our listeners, and they're cannabis entrepreneurs, they're cannabis business people that are curious about getting into the industry. So they're just the general public. So take a minute if you need to and get on the soapbox and tell us something that you'd like to say.
Well, I think your thing about people who want to get into the industry, I think let's go that path. So getting into the industry, like with most career paths, you've got to pay your dues. And the easiest way to get into this industry is typically a trimmer, somebody who trims the buds nice and pretty so they can sell them in the dispensary. Next to that would be bud tending. So bud tending is great because it gives you an opportunity to learn about strains, to learn about a lot of specific things, different types of abilities of the strains, and just getting used to learning stuff. And so the issue around that is that bud tenders kind of have a ceiling they hit. So after a couple of years of doing that, if you're not the manager of a certain place, then you really need to go on. And I will tell all your listeners out there that I got started in computers something almost 40 years ago. When I started, don't laugh at me out there, but there was no such thing as a PC. But I ran my career for almost 40 years in that technology, and I basically rode that wave. I want to tell young people today, and maybe not so young, that there's a wave to be ridden in this business, and if you get involved, you're getting in on the ground floor. Maybe not as early as I got in, but we're still early. We are still in the embryonic stages, and there's a world of opportunity out there for someone who wants to apply themselves and learn and do something out there, because this is going to become more and more of an evolving business. There's going to be lots of opportunities, not only in Colorado, but throughout a lot of states in the country.
There's a lot of firsts that can still happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. I just ask people to do it with integrity. There's not too much integrity in this business. In fact, unfortunately, the opposite is true. So I tell people to go in eyes wide open, and when you find an opportunity, learn what you can learn and then apply what you've learned and continue to grow yourself in the industry, because you will become more and more valuable over time.
And build networks and relationships with integritous people.
Absolutely right, Kate. Absolutely right. Because this is still a very much of a relationship business. And I can't overemphasize the fact that networking in this business can mean the difference between success and failure. Now, let me take it to the next step. People who want to get in this business, it's damn complicated. It's not just about getting a license, but it has to do with licensing, real estate, zoning,
compliance,
agricultural department,
financial, investors.
Investors is a big piece of it. A lot of times you'll have investors who are just out there kicking tires, trying to pick your brain. Of course, that's been my experience, having been so early on in the business. I've had people come to me as investors who said, well, we're going to do this, that, and the other thing. But when the rubber met the road, it never did, because no money ever did show up, but they sure did have try to at least pick my brain. Mm-hmm. So the level of complexity, people out there, it's going to continue to evolve, and that goes from everything from edibles to cannaceuticals, machines and equipment that you would use to process your plant matter into these medicines. It's just a complicated thing. I would recommend that if you are going to get involved, align yourself with someone who has the experience. I'm not necessarily saying me, I'm not necessarily saying Dr. J's, but I'm saying somebody who has the experience. And if you can get somebody with the experience who also has integrity, well, then you have a much higher percentage to be successful.
Find a mentor. It's a great path to success. It's a short path to success. Well, Tom Sterlacci, founder and CEO of Dr. J's Concentrates and Edibles, we so appreciate your time and your effort to make time to talk to us and all the information that you've shared with us. Can you give us a website or any contact information in case someone would like to get in touch with you?
Sure. Our website is drjsllc.com. We're in the process of rebuilding it yet again for the third time. Not to say the first three weren't bad or the first two weren't bad. It's just a matter of evolution. This business is one where you continually evolve, and most of the companies we're familiar with out there usually go through a whole new branding every couple of years. So some of it has to do with compliance. Other, it just has to do with keeping your products fresh and keeping yourself relevant. And again, we started out with the intent that, yes, we'd like to make money, but not at the expense of our customers. And I'm happy to say that we've always kept to that standard. Know what you're putting in your body, ladies and gentlemen, because not everything out there is good for you. And we'll know more about that in the next few years.
And shout us out an email.
Email is T as in Tom, S as in Sam, T as in Tom, E as in every, R as in right, R, L as in love, A as in apple, C as in car, at, and I'm going to be embarrassed when I say this, AOL.com.
We're not laughing at you. We're laughing with you.
There you go.
So it's STERLAC at AOL.com.
That's exactly it. And if anybody wants to or needs to get a hold of me, they can do that. And I'm not sure should I give my phone out?
No, they can email you.
Yeah, why don't you guys email me if you want to know something? Hey, if I could help you guys, there's been people in my career all the way through that helped me. So I'm a little bit on the generous side when it comes to helping people, especially people with integrity who have new ideas and have a whole lot of passion to make the world a little bit better place. And if marijuana is the way to do it, then I wish you all nothing but the best.
Well, you're the best, Tom, and we look forward to having you on as a guest again on Grind and Burn with Brainstorm. And I want to also thank our listeners for being with us while we talk to Tom Sterlacci, the CEO and founder of Dr. J's Concentrates and Edibles. Thank you for joining us as always. Remember, you can follow us on all social media out there. You can find us on our website at cannabiscommunityproject.com. My name's Kate Mullen, in for Brainstorm. You can email us at contact@cannabiscommunityproject. We appreciate you, and we appreciate your time. Look for us, and we'll see you again next week.
That's all I have for you this week, Cannapreneurs. We're on our way home, sliding through 2017. Make sure to stick with us all year long. We have new podcasts coming out and many, many more guests to talk to, just like you. Follow us after the show on all the social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, even Mass Roots, all under the same name, Cannabis Community Project. We'll see you next week.